Okay, are you feeling good? Do you have a mirror? Did you get that little note?
Oh, good Lord, a mirror.
You
Just a
don't
sec.
have to. You don't have to. What I'm going to suggest, I can just spotlight you on the screen, okay? And then you can
Okay,
use the screen as a mirror.
okay,
I just thought to warm up, just to warm up and train our eye-hand coordination, that we would do some blind contours. Um,
okay, sure.
and so have you done blind contours before?
That's where you're looking, but you're not looking at the paper.
Yes. So it's just a warm up, and just like, there's nothing about the result here. Um, and so you can use your charcoal pencil.
Okay.
Um, I thought so today would be about, I mean, relative proportion, I think, is a really big one. And it's something I believe strongly in. And it's because you use it for everything. So that is how we measure visually.
Yes.
Um, and then also, I mean, even though there's so many ways to approach a portrait, this with the same tools we used in the last session, using a brush and charcoal or a very soft graphite pencil. Like, it doesn't have to be charcoal. That's just my favorite, but something like a 6B.
Well, I have news for you anyway, Charlena. I will be signing up for more sessions with you because I've got a bunch of if you can stand me, um,
You
I
have a
have a
bunch of
bunch of
missions. Oh, I love art missions. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm just like, certain things I'm learning from certain sources, but other things I'm not learning from them, and I just I'm on a mission. Yeah, I'm on a mission about this.
Well, it's good to be able to ask for very specific things. And that's why I like doing the one-on-one, because you
Right.
can, I mean, if I can't uh, provide like guidance, I mean, I'll be honest about that, but there's probably
Yes.
nothing I haven't because it's been my whole life, right?
Yes.
So um, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to get requests of like what you would like to maybe bridge those gaps between the classes that you're taking, that
Exactly.
are also of interest. But if something feels like, oh, I didn't get enough of this one thing, then
Yeah.
I'm always there for you for that. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
ask.
And I'm also trying to really clear out my life for more practice. Like I need to be practicing, 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 and that's where it's good to get things like dad's stuff sorted and but I'm almost at the bottom of the list with all of that. So I'm feeling like, okay,
You have time now.
onwards.
Yeah, you have time to create. Um, so okay, so what do you have out for materials? Do you have the charcoal and the brush and the
Yeah, I
eraser?
brought two brushes. Brought my charcoal. I brought my erasers.
Okay. I mean, that's it.
I have, oh, did I grab that? No. I thought I grabbed some charcoal sticks, but I didn't. Pencils.
You only need one pencil. I usually suggest the softer one if you have a 6B. Charcoal doesn't come in all the different ranges that
Oh yeah, I have a 6B. That I
that's
have.
6B is good. And then um,
Yeah.
we'll use the brush
Okay.
to move the charcoal dust. And so this is a really uh, what's the word I'm looking for? The using the charcoal is very forgiving. So
It is.
that's why I suggest it. But what we do here with the portraiture can be applied to anything. Okay,
Hmm.
it is sort of like a specific technique, and people do use brushes now with graphite and charcoal, but I don't know, the thumbs up came up somewhere. um, but it wasn't at one point really well known. Like, no one was teaching to use a brush. And because I worked in the art store and I used those tortillons or the blending stumps, I found at a very young age, I didn't like those because it damaged the paper. So again, you
Oh,
can use those. I find them
right.
a little wasteful.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you can use them over and over again, but at some point, just like an eraser, it gets really dirty, and I don't think they last as long. So the brush is more economical. It's longer lasting. I find it's more effective. It doesn't
I
damage.
really liked using the brush with it. Like, again, I kept saying magic,
It is. It is. So
magic.
with portraiture, it's amazing. It's not any different than if you did an animal. So that, again, this technique. So we'll talk about portraiture and relative proportion, but we'll also, um, I just want you to remember that this brush technique can be applied to anything I've done. You name it, landscapes. It's really beautiful for realism because you can get so much depth, and that has everything to do with the value, but
Yeah.
also just the control of softness and the harder edges with the eraser. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna spotlight. Oh, can I maybe spotlight both? Yeah. Let me see. Dun, dun, dun. And okay. All right. So our screen is our mirror. And if you don't trust yourself, you can put a piece of paper over your hand. Pardon me. Um, and and yet I'm not going to do that for the sake of, so you can see. So I know you've done line contours, but I just want to talk about this as I do one, okay? Because,
You know what? I have done it, but by myself, I do tend to cheat a tiny bit. So I won't cheat with
well,
this.
you're so good and honest for admitting that, Esther. Everybody cheats. I mean, it's a human nature.
Right.
And the reason is because we want to control. It's an
Yes.
innate human attribute. But with a blind contour of the portrait, so it's a consistent line. So you're going to place, usually you'd start with an eye. Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
you find one little focal point to begin with. And so I'm going to hold my pencil kind of in a way that I can rotate it and move it and twist it.
Okay.
So I'm going to start, and I'm going to slowly, like a little ant is crawling all around the contours of the shapes in the face that I see. Now, an interesting thing about any portraiture is that there are no lines in a face, like at all. So
No.
doing this blind contour is a bit funny. How do I decide? Where do I decide that there's a line around the nose? Because there isn't one. So we're exaggerating by looking for lines that would describe features. But I also want to just mention, you want to go so slow that you're actually listening to your eyes. I know that's a funny way of putting it, but you're trusting your eyes, and you're not letting your hand go so fast that your brain is actually the one saying, oh, I know the shape of this. So you're actually looking, and it's really important not to go faster than where your eyes are looking. And I'm just twisting the pencil. You can use the charcoal, Esther, but I just grabbed a colored pencil and really looking. And if you lose your spot, just pick it up and place it where you think.
Right. Okay.
I probably totally lost my spot there, but that's okay.
You're making me feel better.
Oh,
It
with
looks exactly like me. It's very
yes,
flattering. Very
this is
flattering.
when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah, it's kind of looking the way I feel, actually.
So this is, again, it's not about the end result, right? Like very Picasso-esque. Um, I honestly think that if a blind contour looks so good, it's either one of two things. We're cheating, or you've done thousands and thousands and thousands of them, and you have really good eye-hand coordination.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna take my spotlight off my sketchbook so that you can just focus on
And there I am.
just your portrait, okay?
Okay, here we go. Looking only at the screen, no looking down. See, I already want to.
Mhm.
Haven't even started.
Really pay attention to the unique shape of your eyes. You know, they're not almonds. Everybody has this. When I was in high school, I went around, I wasn't like popular at all, but I went around and I had a sketchbook and I just drew people's eyes and I didn't put their names so that I had to tell who it was by the eye.
Huh.
And it was very, very, very effective for eye hand coordination. Because brains lie. That's why kids do almond eyes, right?
Yes. I spent a lot of time at a certain point because I always positioned myself kind of close to the back of the room so I could escape if I needed to in school. And I spent a lot of time drawing Sandy Gillies, but she had no idea I was.
Oh, a girl in your class?
Yeah, she was just sitting right beside, like in the row next to me.
That's awesome.
A whole bunch of little sketches of Sandy Gillies. Not, I'm not going to say they were fabulous sketches, but there they were.
That's so cool. And she had no idea ever.
She had no idea.
And so I love it.
Without trying to put the hair in or anything like that, right?
Oh yeah, go for it. I actually the hair is fun because you can look at pieces of it. So it's not necessarily just the outer um, edge. You can come within and start to look at shapes just based on, the transitions of color in your hair. So there's different types of contours as well, right? There's some people will, or teachers will say, just focus on the outer edge, don't go within. So this is more what we call like a wire armature, where you're coming within. So if you ever hear different variations, I mean, there are, it depends on, I guess, what the project's about.
Well, now I'm very curious to see what this thing looks like.
Is it,
Wow,
is it
that's an
properly
interesting interpretation of Esther Jane Scanlon.
uh, perfect? So, and
Do
I'm
you want
just,
me to show you what
I would love to. I just want to show you, okay, in the future, getting colors out, you can do multiple of them on top, and it can really end up being a fun result
I love that.
without it being like, oh, that looks like Esther.
Yeah,
So you can actually make really beautiful blind contours. Again, it's not about the result, but yes,
layered over. I
I'd
love
love to
that.
see.
So I have this interesting thing on the top of my head going on, but just a sec here. Whoa.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Hey,
It's a thought bubble. You're thinking so much.
I
And, and
am.
it came out of the top of your head.
Yes.
Right.
It's
Uh,
me at night actually dreaming.
so let's date that. I think it's very good to get into a habit of dating.
What is the date today?
It's
February.
February the 4th.
Oh my God. Yeah, good idea.
It's really, really good because, like, always do it. Uh, you think, oh, it's not so important, it's today I'm going to remember, but actually when years go by, it's you won't remember. So
No.
I mean everyone gets to be themselves and do their own thing the way they want, but I also date like the year
Oh, good idea as
on my
well.
sketchbook, and I write notes, and I've
Yeah.
started to pack up all my sketchbooks, so I don't have any to show you more, but you can get really like say you're in a class and there, or you're watching a documentary, an art documentary. Oops, I don't know why. Oh, there. Um, like what was there's one sketchbook I have where I was watching a Tom Thompson documentary. It was called The West Wind. It's good if you ever get your hands on it. And I started writing all these like little interesting facts on the cover. So instead of it being like, oh, I've got a page in my sketchbook of notes, you can kind of add your, you know, um, add things that you learn even to the cover. I find that
Yeah, I like that actually. I'm liking when I just write on what I'm doing. Like whatever my like thoughts that come into mind, or I'm starting to do that
oh
in
good,
my
yeah,
sketchbook, in my
yeah,
sketchbook.
it's a journal.
And I just realized though that I I this is a mouthless Esther Jane in this drawing.
Don't go into that uh
It's that, be seen and not heard thing
philosophical stuff.
coming out. Maybe I don't know, but she's trying to get over that.
You can read into it, but I'd rather you don't.
No.
Just for your sanity. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
good
pull
idea.
up some a portrait uh face dimensions. What's it called? The file. It's called mm, proportions, I think. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen with you. This is a document that an artist and instructor who's now retired, but he put this together. So he was a graphic designer at one point. Oh, can I not make it smaller? Sorry. Can you see that head?
I can see it.
Great. Okay. I can't make it smaller because it's a PDF, but um, all we need is just that. We don't really need to see. Well, okay, I'll have to scroll. So, this, and I can email this to you. Okay. The thing about um, diagrams like this, they're helpful only in a general sense, and yet I think it's good to have it as a guide. But everyone's head is different, and this does not apply in the same way. And I think what I like about what Brian Smith did here is there's no actual measurements, it's an approximation. So a lot of people forget that the hairline is forward, so the top of the head is often not seen.
Mhm.
It's covered with hair. So if we look at from the chin to the very top, the eyes are in the middle. And so that's an interesting thing, right? Because you would think they're higher.
Right.
and actually another good project, at some point for you, if it's not so morbid, is to do a skull, like a
Sure.
simple
Yeah.
skull instead of the all the skin and whatnot, because the skull really shows these dimensions as well. So then we've got, looking at the hairline to the bottom of the chin, an approximation of thirds. One of those thirds is at the bottom of the nose, and one of those thirds is at the eyebrows. And that's the B. B. And so now we've got most proportions lined up. We can also look at that the ears tend to come relatively, that's going to be a big word in our session today, is relatively, from the bottom of the nose to the eyebrows. So it's within that space. And just like if you take your hand and you put it on your face, you realize how big your hand is. You know, you think our hands are not so big, but it covers your whole face. It's similar to a lot of innocently incorrect proportions. Like ears tend to be drawn smaller than what they are, just like hands. And again, that's a perception of ourselves, that just because we don't think about proportions really. We take
Right.
it for granted. So then we start to look at within those thirds, and in the base of the face, there is a little trick I'll show you. It actually doesn't show it here, where you can figure out where the mouth is, because the space under the nose and the little chin curve here,
Mm-hmm.
there's a little trick to being able to mostly, again, relatively figuring out where things are placed, within that section. So let's use this and map out your face. We don't need this though. I'm not gonna, I mean, I don't think you need it, but I will send it to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so I am recording, and but we'll go slow, okay? Now, I tend to like to go in with just the brush first. So you probably don't have charcoal powder. It's not a common thing that people have. I'm guessing you don't.
No, I don't.
That's okay. So what we'll do is just in the upper corner, just take your pencil and press really, really hard. Not hard, you know, so hard that you break your tip, but let's just make a little pot. Oh, look,
Oh,
my throat. Oh, maybe I have yeah, I'm gonna get a longer handle. I have a whole bag of tiny, 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 tiny little pencils that I've used right down to the butt. And I
wow.
keep them just to like show myself how many pencils I go through. So I'm just gonna keep scribbling for a bit on this little square until I build up some dust.
Oh. So you're using this, you're doing this with the 6B or just, or the charcoal pencil?
The charcoal pencil, yeah.
Oh, you must be doing it with the charcoal pencil. Jitters. Right. Okay.
This is also kind of a cool thing, when you're learning about value, is to put a little square in the upper corner of your project. So not on a final piece would you do this necessarily, but just to put the darkest value down like this, so that you have a gauge of what your darkest dark will be within the work.
Right. Makes sense.
Okay, so we're just looking at the head. I had suggested this one. My printer got all funny, so forgive, there's like a little ink
That's
mess
okay.
there. And
It's way better than the printout that I have.
oh yeah, it doesn't need to be a good printout though.
No.
The only reason why I suggested this one, I think this would also be a good one to do because you're wearing glasses, and there's
Mhm.
some tricks I can show you about doing glasses,
Sure.
but
Okay.
not really. I think to start, it's better not to have that as an interference or a consideration. It's
Mhm.
similar to like when models are hired for life drawing, they're asked to not wear makeup.
Right.
So because it's like it creates an illusion, like that's a lie. It's not the face, right? You can
Yes.
do so many, you can change the whole structure look of your face with contouring the way the kids do it now. I don't have time for that in my life. I never will.
No,
But you can make yourself look so different with just a
it's
little
true.
bit of makeup. So I'm gonna put this just above so that I can see. Oh, just higher. I'm gonna angle it just a little bit, actually. Okay. So what do we know? This is what the first question we ask when we look at relative proportion. What do we know? We know that the eyes are in the middle and you've got a little angle. So that's actually a fun thing. Even the slight angle is an interesting thing. So we're going to look at having what's called an axis. And because my printout's funny, it's kind of hard to tell, but if this is straight across, we can see there's, 20% angle there. Guessing it doesn't have to be a specific number, but we can just see that slight angle. So what I tend to do is I'll take my brush, get a little bit of dust in there, and just in the middle of the page, not gonna touch the printout. I'm just gonna get a sense of that angle, then move this and just get that axis in there. And this is such a gentle tool that this will come up later with the kneadable eraser.
Mhm.
Okay, so we know that this is where the eyes are. And to fit something on the page, I'm going to decide right now where the top of your head is and where the chin is, because that will dictate the width.
Okay.
So I want it to all be on the page. So I'm going to say this is the top of the head, and that's approximate. This is the bottom.
Okay.
We also have this axis here, So it's a little bit, just getting that feel. Look, your portrait is getting better and better. It's
Look at that.
So we're looking at if this is where the eyes are. We don't know the width yet. Okay, so these are, again, that's very important to ask these questions. What do we know? We know the eyes are here, and we looked at the fact that the nose is halfway.
Right.
And then we can also look at approximate.
Yeah.
This would be within this space. If you have to, within this space, have a chin and a mouth, then I'm going to put this as the little, I don't know if you can use, because you're just this part right here, that little dip.
Yeah. Okay.
And then just above it is going to be the bottom lip.
Okay.
And then in that case, I don't need to do the top lip yet, but just putting in, that's where the lips are.
Okay.
And in my mind, I'm looking at this already as a human being, already as you. So I'm going to start to gently curve, because now I'm relatively sure that's where the chin is, and that your eyes, we look at that usually there's like an eye in between the eyes. So I'm just making all these little marks, but I can see, I look ahead in my mind, and I can see just putting in these little spots. This is the pupil, very, very gently, because I'm probably wrong. Okay.
Right.
We're just kind of trying to get the overall, like if you're squinting at your portrait. Okay. Now, if this is the top, very top of the head, you don't want your hair to come down so low, because you have this space above the brow.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I can really only generously give that much. And I'm looking at that angle, and it comes to the side of the eye. And she looked like a little one. It's like, do you see? It's like baby Esther.
Yeah, it's true. Look at me. And also, like, I love the way all of the wrinkles have been erased,
I
Although I have
once
some wrinkles.
I once did a model in paint, and I went in with doing a lot of detail, which I didn't need to do. And she was horrified because she saw all these lines. I mean, and I was still learning a lot. So I felt so bad.
Oh no.
Oh, it's just unfortunate how we see ourselves.
Yeah, and actually I'm joking, but I like my older self.
Good,
I'm like totally okay with it.
because you're a beauty.
And I'm trying to get my hair back into this hairstyle, which I really like, but
Yeah, I noticed actually her shorter now.
yeah, I got impatient.
So I'm looking at just pulling down that hair. You do have a lot. So this is where you specifically are breaking that specific guideline, because the width, you have a longer shape. So
Yes.
we're relatively looking at your ear does come up to the eyes, but it hides because you have good cheekbone.
Yeah.
And so coming out, if your cheekbone, if I measure it, it's pretty much to the bottom of the nose. So now I know
Right.
where to curve in
Okay.
and connect, starting to connect. And that this eye, you can see more of your ear. It's in between the eye and the eyebrow. Where does it go? Not quite. You can see more of this ear, but it's not quite down to the nose. And I'm looking at that this cheekbone,
Hmm.
just because of the angle, is not so with the heart, like with this little indent. So just looking at the variations, the differences of both sides of the face. And it gives all those little nuances. This is the only time in life where comparing is a good thing.
Hmm.
And then I
I
can
got
look,
the cheekbones from my mom.
yeah,
She had
Mama,
even more
thank you.
prominent cheekbones than I do.
You can always add more dust just by going over that little spot.
Right.
So, what do we know? Well, I've placed the eyes and they feel pretty good, and it's
Yeah.
very general. And so I can say that so this is called a plumb line. This is relative proportion, Esther. So when you start to develop some sort of sense of an overall shape, you can go your mouth, where, like, what can I compare it to? It's
Right.
dropping right down from the center of the eye. So your mouth comes out to here. What about this side? It is definitely, because of that tilt, it's more to just this inner corner.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Where is that nose in the inner corner? But it's not, it's within the mouth. So I'm going to
Yeah.
just put in two
Yeah.
little nodule marks there for the outer part of the nose. And this line is where the dark nostrils are. Now, the neck, just to kind of, again, doing the overall, right about here with the chin. And it is a pretty much like it continues on this angle, which is very
Mhm.
nice pose. And plumb line where the neck meets, it's approximately here. And just really all we need is the angle so that your head's not floating in
Right.
space on the page. And just looking at where this shoulder is, how much space is underneath the chin, not much. So I can make a little mark, and just, again, it's all about the angle right now.
Mhm. Mm.
So you've got both sides happening there. Would you like to get to this point?
You know what I want to do is I want to watch you do this, and then I'm
Okay.
probably going to look at the recording.
Okay.
and my own photo and try it myself.
Perfect. Okay. So now I can start to get my kneadable. That's what a kneadable, which like why to use which eraser. And kneadable at this stage is good because it's not going to damage the paper, and we have very little haloed lines to pick up. No need for the white eraser, which is like a heavy duty. So just pulling up gently, patting. So they call it a pounce. This is a pounce. Okay. I have a little bit of charcoal powder here in a dish.
Yes.
You can actually take like cheap charcoal sticks and sandpaper
Okay.
and make charcoal dust.
Yeah, and I do have those, so
Perfect.
it's a good idea.
I buy like, actually, because I use a lot of charcoal, I actually buy the charcoal powder.
Mhm.
But it lasts so long. Like I share this in classes, and I mean, I think one jar lasts me like 10 years, and I share with everybody in the class. So it's almost too much. So unless you actually fall in love with charcoal, you just need to make your own. Okay, so now I start to look sort of at the next level of shapes, getting a little bit more refined. Okay. So I feel good about the overall. And if there's ever, when you're doing this, if there's something that's wrong, then I would suggest to leave it. Don't stress about it. Maybe, maybe pull back just like on that area a little bit so that it's not so prominent. But as you develop other areas, you will have more to relate it to figure it. So never go, oh no, I don't know what to do here. Just breathe and go to the next thing. So what do I know? Well, I'm going to come in and do the lips because I know where the top of your lip would be. And it's really all we need is a suggestion. I've given you a little bit more of a curl there, but it's cute, so I'm going to leave it.
Yeah. It
And
kind of looks like the essence of me.
yeah.
Like it does. Even like the small amount that you've
It's
done.
pixie-ish, right?
Pixie-ish, yeah.
A little.
That my sister-in-law sometimes calls me the ditzy pixie.
Oh, she can get away with that.
Yeah, she can, and
She,
it's cute. I don't mind it. The way she says it, it's cute.
so I'm gonna do, this is what we call the milk mustache. Okay. So this is the dip. Then you don't have a prominent one, and that could just be lighting or whatever, but we all do have one. So I'm just gonna take this dust and I'm gonna go right up to the nose.
Okay.
Hardly there. And I can even pull that back again, just so it's, just a little hint. That's the great thing about the charcoal powder. And then we also, because this dip, like it's way more prominent on me, because it dips in, but then it comes out and then dips down. We're just going to do an angle here and an angle here. And I'm not making a mustache.
No.
Because we just want that to sort of be there as a like hardly there, a hint. So then I'm just pulling it out a little bit. And there's a shadow under the nose, just simply because of, it's what we call, oh, what the word is escaping me, foreshortening, right? So people have a tough time with noses because of trying to make this look like it's protruding.
Yes.
So we want this ball. Everyone has a different shaped ball, but we want this ball to be the whitest on the whole face, because that is showing that it's the closest. So where I start to push shadow is on the side And I'm hardly touching the paper, Esther, but I'm just kind of pulling out into underneath the eye, and it's hardly there, but it's
Mhm.
important that it's there. Okay, so I'm going to come in because the bridge is not as far out as the tip. Just adding in a little hint. Coming in because the eyes recede, coming in and around. It's good too, if you're going to dip in for new charcoal powder, just do a little scrub somewhere on the printout or something so that it's not too making like a really dark mark
Mhm.
on here.
Right.
Okay, so building. Now I have a better idea of the eyebrows. I'm going to stick with using this big brush, but I do have various sizes. So if you ever feel,
Okay.
oh, this is, I'm not getting the fineness that I want, you can use any stiff brush that you have, and you can use it back to painting after. It's not a problem.
Okay.
But it's kind of a bit too early for that. Okay. All right. Now, what else do I know that there's shadow under the face. So I'm telling myself, don't worry about getting all these features refined right now, because they are relative to also the shapes that are filling in this space and taking
Right.
what we started out with lines. We want to now pull those lines into a form, and everything at the edges, because of our heads going back, will have a slight transition coming in. You can think of it as this contour blush or whatever,
Mhm.
but just giving this little tickle to change it from a line to a form. Now, you don't have quite such a prominent chin dip there, so I'm going to just a little
Yeah, that's better.
there. That's even probably still for my white eraser. So when something is staining the paper, that's when your white eraser can come out. And actually that little ghost is perfect. And this is where, the lines we see in our face and what makes us unique, all these wonderful lines that show our lives, what we've
Yes. Yeah.
survived. It's necessary only to show kind of the shapes and the ins and outs. So we
Mhm.
don't need to come in and start to, put in other lines.
No.
It's there's an article way back in Drawing Magazine, which is like American Artist sort of subscription, and it was like, do not put in lines. So they were talking about like, an old man, almost like an old Cree man or something,
Right.
and with lots of lines on the face. And the article was suggesting, you don't need any of those. You need to get the shape right, because as we age, our faces change. So just like kids have really big eyes for their little tiny skulls, and
Yes.
they grow into them. The thing is, our noses do get bigger, and there's other identifying factors. So lines are
True.
not necessary.
Unless you're fascinated by them. When I did that
Sure.
self-portrait, I actually got fascinated by the lines in my face.
Yeah,
I was
good.
like, oh, wow, look at that.
I love that.
There's some pride in it. Like, meaning like what you said, like it shows what we've survived.
This
Oh,
morning when
yeah,
I was,
go ahead.
oh, I was just, I watched like a drag queen that I follow. It's a British drag queen, and he did like a little video, very personal, what people share online these days, but it's really nice to see because he had a mirror, and he said, I just today realized all of these crow's feet. And he didn't call them that though. He was like, he goes, I just realized these beautiful what look like wings or eyelashes, and
Mm,
and he's like, I earned those, and they make
yeah.
me. And it was really nice because a lot of people don't talk like that about themselves. So I love that. That is kind of the theme of the day.
Yeah, yeah, I feel the same way. And I mean, I was so happy when I just did a buzz cut and I got all my gray hair all at once. Like
That's
just
awesome.
got rid of all that. Like I just was I enjoyed coloring my hair and I had my hair all kinds of colors. But now I just like it. I like my gray hair.
It looks great. Some people, their gray doesn't come in, it comes in wiry, and
It's true.
yeah, I think that's going to happen to me. That's okay. I will own it. So you can see, Esther, I'm not even really focused on any details yet.
No.
And especially with your complexion, I'm staying light and soft. So there's not
Yes.
going to be actually a lot of need for bringing in many pencil lines, because we
Hmm.
don't want to go too dark. It doesn't. It's not your um, tonal value.
No.
You're on what we call the high key end of things. Like it's more in the highlight area. So the darkest might be a middle value.
Right.
So in that, when we start to refine with a pencil, very, very light pressure, okay? So I'm gonna come in now and start to look at the actual shape of your eye, still reminding myself of this axis because it's important. So where I feel the corner is, and that it really does, the corner of your eye here does connect to the lid, I'm going to go, okay, your eye, that lid is very round at the end.
Hmm.
Okay. And so now, so I recommend with your eraser to cut them down into little triangles. You don't
Yes.
have to, but it's really good for being able to, you don't need the whole darn thing. You need to be able to see. So I am pulling out the highlight, and I'm looking at that space that is just your tear duct, which is darker than we think. And okay, that leads into the bottom. Now, before I start to put in a line there, I'm going to look at how much iris and pupil and white that I see. So what's taking up what? So looking at placing, and that there's a lot more white space on the outer edge there. Okay, now this is the fun part.
Oh, God.
Smudge it, smudge, 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 smudge. Just soften out any dust, and then we start to do what's more of a removal technique.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull in the highlights that I see, and also kind of refine the shape of that eyebrow, looking at the space above. Because when you're drawing an eye, it's not just about drawing the eye, it's
Hmm.
all that's around the eye as well. Sushi's snoring in bed, and lately this has probably been the worst winter for me I've ever had in my life,
Oh dear.
where I don't want to get up out of bed.
Yeah.
But it's partly Sushi's fault.
I like that.
He does not make it easy. Like,
He's snuggly.
he is a super snuggler, yes.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
always have trouble getting out of bed. It's been the story of my life. I'm a
uh,
night owl by nature.
uh,
Oh yeah. And anyway, my husband accommodates it. We stay up until 12. He'd rather go to bed earlier,
okay.
but yeah, by nature I'm a night owl, and I've always had to work against myself. I used to get up at 5:30 in the morning to when I was working because it
Yeah,
gave me time to wake up.
yeah,
Otherwise, I would arrive still in a fog.
yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. I am a morning person, but I still need to have it doesn't matter when I have to get up. I have to have 2 hours
Yeah,
for even bodily functions and stuff. I don't like rushing either.
no,
But so I'm adding again, these are shapes, right? Where I see a lighter area, it's a
yeah,
shape. I'm looking at where it transitions. And I'm not going to get too stuck here. I think it's better to
no.
bounce back and forth, but just to kind of get a sense of, am I right? I actually think the eye is a bit too small here, and that I probably have to, as if I look at, yeah, I think it needs to come up to here. So why would I get so particular about something now if it's wrong,
Mhm.
right?
That
So I'm
makes
going
sense.
to make that adjustment, which means I have to adjust everything. Okay. Now that's not quite right, and that's okay. Instead of, again, getting frustrated about something, I'm just going to move on
Okay.
and tell my brain it's okay. It's fine. So again, I'm just looking at like the space in between here. And then again, I'm on this axis. So do. This is where approximately the eye will end. And there's a higher lift on this eye. Just again, looking
Yeah,
at those
my
differences.
eyes are not symmetrical.
No one's are,
No,
literally no one. Just like boobs and feet and everything.
everything. Yeah, two sizes on my feet. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yes, yeah, but it's okay at all. It's fine. I just buy one size, but yeah.
Okay. So I'm adjusting because I know it's not quite right, but I'm just going to keep looking at what's around it. I see definitely more. And I think, well, definitely that's way too big. Okay, cool. That's okay. This is where I'm going to tell myself, don't go crazy, just go back to the powder, sort of get that overall shape again. Maybe start to use that a little bit more intensely for like the darker areas. And then start to curve in.
It's so interesting the way you use something that basically forces you not to get too detailed when you first start.
Mhm.
It's a really good, I'm gonna say a good strategy
Well,
using a
and
work term, but anyway.
yeah, no, it's true. And then also, like, getting too detailed now doesn't make sense.
No.
Because you're not, I'm not sure.
No.
And I feel it's also good. Oh, so this is too much. This is too much of an angle. Okay. This is the
Yeah,
problem.
because you could end up with something really detailed, right? That
At the
doesn't
end,
fit anything else in the face that's around it. Like if you just get too obsessed with.
there's also because we're looking on a table, like unless you have a drawing board,
Mm,
where you're looking straight at it. So definitely change that angle
okay.
of your, because I'm like, oh, you know what? This is a time to really look at that. I did too much of an angle. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So eyelids are actually like one of the greatest things. They're they're really helpful in getting the whole eye situation to look dimensional. And you can just point, you can use your kneadable to make a point. All right. So now there's not a lot of shadow under your eyelid. There often is a cast shadow depending on the light though.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna just add one because it's good for the future for you to know that you can pull down a shadow in to the eye underneath
Oh, wow.
and it just bam.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm pulling a nice feathery stroke, going, okay, where does that bottom lid hit and how much is showing of the iris? Now this is feeling really dark, so I'm gonna push it back.
Mhm.
And start to bring out the lights. Okay, so pupil is important. Where are you looking at? Oh, yeah. So that's got an edge there. And then it pulls around. No, I think we've used this before last week or
Yes.
last session. So just putting, like you get to decide what kind of highlight you want, but this is really great for that. That's exactly what this is meant for.
Mhm. Oh, I see. Yeah. That works.
Okay. This is very stylized. I haven't actually done I think the last portrait that because I don't do them much anymore, um, like personally, but I think it was a child. So maybe, yeah, I think I'm making you look like a little angelic cherubim or something, but
Mm.
that's okay. So the eyes and then the nostrils. So I'm going to look at just making a feather line and then sort of looping it.
Yeah. Do you know what you need to do, Charlena, is put the shadows under my eyes.
Well, they are there. I think taking out the highlights.
Yeah, you need to deepen it a bit because I'm like my mom there. I inherited the what do you call it, under eye. My dad used to say that was a nice makeup job.
Oh, oops. If you make a mistake, it's easily lifted, it's easily smudged out. It's just so forgiving. The pencil is where things don't erase back so much. So when in doubt, use the brush.
Okay.
And you are going to see very little shadow there. But this is where you start to now develop the curve and where are the highlights. So, and again, that axis angle is a tricky one. Okay, so changing. And then there's the circle that hits the nostril.
So you're not really using a pencil or anything to make the top of the nose. It's all a matter of the shading, the tonal values that go around it.
And the subtlety of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just do an example on here. So for pencil, and say you don't want to use a brush, how to achieve that kind of transition. So you can try both, is by hatching. So
Right.
come in, and as long as your hatches are like consistent.
Right.
I actually don't, I like expressive, but classically it's about having some consistency. And the further away your lines, the more it blends out into. So you just sort of taper. So actually, if you get to a place of just, this light buildup, and then you actually want to come in, the only thing that I would have caution you on is don't push lines so much because they're barely there.
Right.
So, for example, in the mouth, I'll put a line, but then I will start to fade it down into either the upper, well, usually the upper lip. You have a highlight on your upper lip, but usually it's the upper lip that is a bit more darker.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably like, lipstick.
It's the lipstick, yeah. I like lipstick.
And that's just the reason why I was like, oh, models are asked not to wear makeup because it changes um, the science, like
I see that
goal.
now that you're
Yeah. And then I typically don't do the bottom lip so much other than just that little shadow underneath. And kind of, again, you get to a point where do you need all the information? Do you need to give it all away? So that's going to come into play with glasses as well.
right.
And so I'm just going to do like a little mashup. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, gosh, there's just a couple things that I just need to have around to satisfy myself.
That's okay. Go ahead. I'm gonna have fun trying this myself. See what I come out with.
Well, and if whether you can do the same one twice or
Yeah.
pick similar ones that are slightly different, truly, the more you do, the better you'll get, right?
Mhm.
So I just feel like I just gotta have some oomph here in the hair. There's more.
Yeah.
There's a nice angle.
You know those, I don't know whether they were Flemish paintings, from the 15th or 16th century, where you've got these women with the kind of eggshell shaped face,
Mhm.
oval faces with very, very pale skin.
Oh, like the Renaissance, yeah.
That was me, naturally.
Yeah.
I didn't have to put on makeup to achieve that. It was like, and anyway, yeah. But I used to wish because, like it was a time when being tan was more
Mm.
considered more. The tanning is very bad for my skin, so
It's bad for everyone's
it
skin.
is, I know.
Like black people can get burnt. People don't think, and eyes, like I've had people tell me, like, they've been in certain countries and they're like, you can burn your eyeballs. People don't get it.
Hmm.
Mm,
I
mm,
just don't do it. Like after I think the age of 18, I don't. I'm not as I don't anyway.
mhm.
I've got my hat on, I've got my sunscreen on.
Yes. Okay, so glasses, it's again about the impression. So you're looking at the space, you're looking at the space between,
Yeah.
and so these come up over your eyebrows. So I'm looking at just getting that. What can I see? Mm-mm-mm. How much can I see beyond from the edge of your eye to that? So it's approximately there. And they are round on the inside, but just to get a sense of the hexagonal sort of
Yeah.
outside, how much can I see under? So there's a lot more. Oh, got to keep that angle of access.
Wow. Yep.
And then you just need like a little indication of the arm. Um, and same in the nose. So this is where if I want something light and drawing, you're going to give a contrast, and that's a better skin tone anyway, to be honest, because you are not uh, so pale. You do have color and tone, right? Because we can say that this is gray in the printout.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, so I can't just leave all this white. So that kind of gives me, oh, okay, you know what? Let's, and my brushes are filthy. Okay, so you'll probably have to dip a lot more. My brushes, I never clean them. So they just have a lot of charcoal dust already in them. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're giving some contrast there. Where do this start? And then now that I have this one and it's reading like glasses, um, you know, I kind of like that it's rounder in the center. So you can put those little details in to your heart's desire. Oh, and you've got some nice little stripies. So this side doesn't have to be um, so the same legible. So I can be a little bit more loose
Mhm.
over here and looking at, oh, this comes out. And now
Yeah.
it's a different portrait, but still trying not to do them too small. And I could even leave them like just a little bit more, but just a hint of it, just so it's not taking over the whole portrait like that,
Yeah.
could leave that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
and that's
see what you mean.
artistic license, but at the same time, it's sort of, asking yourself, what do you need? Like, how much of something do you need? Do you need
Mm.
to, you probably heard so many artists say, I'm trying to loosen up. I'm so detailed.
Yes.
So in that, asking yourself, well, do I really, need to put in every freaking hair? Like,
Right.
or do we get it? Like, is it understood? And then you've got some darker spots. So now, I can start to come in and change things up a little bit, because relative proportion, now I have more things to compare to,
Right.
but also everything's relative. So as soon as I put in the glasses and they're the darkest thing, now it feels like it needs some dark somewhere else. Where can I put that? And actually, like, drawing with your eraser is really fun too. So, let go just to bring in some layers and blend that in so it's not so harsh.
Mhm.
And then one of my favorite things, it gets messy, but it's fantastic. It's really good. So for high contrast, this is called foiling. So I'll come in.
Yeah. Yeah, we did that with the bird. It was so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So amazing. I love that.
Can
Yeah, I love
really
that.
make for, style and drama.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do this if it was like a dark skin portrait.
No, that's another um
You would do a light background.
yeah.
So you are literally looking for that contrast. Um, if you were wearing like a really patterned shirt, you can
Hmm.
either do like a repeat or a lot of patterning in the back, just like Danusha in at Westport.
Yes, that was so cool.
She, that's her style, right? She
Yeah.
likes to play on patterns and stuff. Or you can simplify, kind of whatever you think. Is it going to take away, or is it going to work with?
Hmm.
But these style choices come at a certain point that you're happy with, and not before.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I want to be able to do, what you're doing, and I do like the expressiveness of it, rather than it being some kind of like stilted, you know, tense.
You're right. Yeah. Sometimes writing words, I mean, you've been doing that, and I think,
I have.
do it, right? You could write a whole bunch of words in the background and have it like hardly legible.
Exactly. But it's still there. It's still kind of, it's influencing it.
Yeah. You can draw with an eraser
Oh, look at that, eh? Cool.
and like write little, yeah.
I like it.
So now that the background is black, that is saying I need to come in and bring depth within. This is all too light.
Hmm.
So, as soon as you think you're done, oh no, no, no. It's not always about detail, it's about those subtleties. So now I can go, you know what, this part of the nose should be much darker.
Yeah, because all of a sudden the face look went a little bit flat,
Yeah, it's like
you
way
know?
too light because the background up until now has been white. I don't have things like what I would like for you to pay attention to that I haven't really so much is like the shapes of things. So
Okay.
this part of your nose has more of a distinctive shape than what I have there.
Yes. Yeah.
And that to me
Yeah.
is what's important for what it's worth. And once you have all this in the background, you can use it.
Mhm.
Like you're using it to pull up and smudge.
Yes.
So yeah, there's got to have maybe a bigger brush and like even bring in. I'm just gonna move that in.
That is a favorite dress.
It looks like it's linen. Is it linen?
It's linen.
Love.
It makes my eyes apparently look really green, even though it's a rusty color. I have quite a bit of green in my eyes, but
Well, compliments, right?
it
Compliment.
complements, yeah. And I've also got that rusty shade in my eyes because my eyes are hazel green.
So I have hazel too, and I find that my eyes change so drastically depending on what I'm wearing, and red
Yeah.
is not good for me. But like a rust is like an
Hmm.
orangey because, or else my eyes actually look red. Um, and then greens also look good and it pulls out the greens. I find that very fascinating.
Yeah. I find my eyes they can change color. Like I've had people tell me, "Oh, you have gray eyes or you have brown eyes." I'm like, "No." Well, maybe they are today. Wow.
So it feels like you're not doing anything sometimes. Okay. Like
Mhm.
when you're coming in and you're pushing subtle value around. But you see, I keep at it so that I'm going slow because when you do things too quickly, that's when you're always having to take away.
Right.
So it's a really good technique for um, taking your time, really looking, and then you can start to adjust again whenever, you know. What's that? Yeah, it's a little, I have like you peeking out from behind, like your little eye. It's cute. It made me laugh. Um, so yeah, this is when I look at it straight on, it's like definitely a little, but it's okay. It's like, okay, that's
Yeah,
one
it's okay.
portrait.
I want to try it like more than once, like you said.
Yeah. And then looking at it, taking a photo, looking at it on your phone or in a mirror, because then that's usually when you'll go, oh, I'm missing an eyebrow
Hmm.
or
Yes.
whatever. Um,
In the case of the contour drawing, missing a mouth.
yeah.
Skipped over that part.
Yeah. And you can decide, you know, if something is like I often intentionally use the word, if something is demented,
Yeah.
is that a problem? I'd say human portrait is harder for people because it's a psychosomatic thing. Like we want, you know, we know what humans look like, so we're like, oh, can't look that way. So the next portrait would be good to do like a bird, but not the gestural one, like something again that it's
Well, you know what I want to do, Charlene, which I will be following up with you
yeah.
about more of these sessions is I actually want to do a dog and I want to do it more expressive and I'm also happy to do it in charcoal
Or pastel. I'm happy to show you a pastel.
or pastel. Yeah.
Yeah, totally up to you. I mean, this, so what I'm showing you with this brush technique, you can apply that to pastels as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be fun. It's not the same entirely with the whole brush, like all the way through because it's too much pigment, but the idea is still there of, it would be nice to apply with color so you can get familiar with that because that's a challenge in and of itself. Black and white is relatively easy in comparison to color. Color complicates the heck out of everything. So
I
yeah.
don't know. I think you probably saw that painting I did of Remy, which I did for my sister-in-law, our dog, so our dog. And it is, it's done in a more perfectionist kind
Like
of
that,
style.
like that, it
But
look,
I did it on purpose because I know that Claire would want something. She's got that kind of analytical mind
oh,
and so I really wanted Remy to look as close to Remy as possible so that Claire would like it. But I don't I don't know. A part of me enjoyed painting it and a part of me didn't enjoy it. And I felt like I didn't really get Remy's personality into the painting, other than I tried to add a few kind of symbolic things in there. But I guess I was also thinking about the person that I'm giving it to, which
I was
made
just
me,
gonna say that, Esther,
yeah,
is that's unfortunate because when it's not about what you want, I mean that happens to anybody, and so commissions are not really
no,
fun for that. Depends on
no, it's true.
yeah, depends on who it's for, and if you can keep uh if you can keep it's still yours instead of
Yeah, it's true. You know what? Like
yeah.
it's about worrying about, oh my gosh, what's the other person gonna think, and that's like deadly.
Oh yeah, it's a killer, a creativity killer. I did pet portraits for a long, long, long time until, well, I mean, it was more of an emotional reason why I stopped because people were doing them on commemoration, like, when they died, and got really sad.
Um,
The last three that I did, it was three kittens that didn't make it, and
oh
that was
yeah.
why they wanted it. And they were very, very young when they passed away. Like they didn't make it from
Oh
being
no.
rescued. So I
Yeah.
only had like one crappy photo of each of them. And I'm really proud of how it turned out. It is on my website if you look at the pet portraits. I framed them all together.
I'll take a look. Yeah.
So I'm really proud of it. So there was my heart, like my heart just was aching. But then there was also a commission that I had. It was someone who had a Siamese cat and they wanted to actually the paintings. I think I've only had maybe one painting that I was happy with because the paintings that people wanted, again, it's different. Drawing to me is easier. Paint, just like color complicates value, paint as a medium complicates things as well.
Yes.
So I was doing them in acrylics and they wanted like, I don't know, the guy was like, yeah, I don't know, you can do funky stuff like with textures and colors or whatever. Um, and I sent halfway through, I was like, oh, here's where I'm at. And it looked okay to me, but it wasn't right. And you can't see it at a certain point. Like, so I sent it and he was like, not happy. It's like, nah, I don't know. Is this like, is it going to change like a lot? Because it should. Like, it doesn't look like my cat.
Right.
And, I spent more time on it. And like, when I look at that halfway mark to the end is good. Um, but it was so frustrating that no matter what the result looked like, I hated it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have fun and I wasn't enjoying it.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I did a commission for a couple, and it was based on I was sitting on our dock and it was so beautiful, the light, and I got it. Maybe I told you this. I got it, as soon as before the light changed, like it was just the right moment. So I took the photo and I put it on Facebook and they asked me to paint it. But, I stayed with my feeling on that one, the wonder of it. And it
Mm-hmm.
was loosely done, like believe it or not, I did it in a very loose style, layers of color, and I wanted the shimmering effect of the changing light. And it's probably the best painting I've done so far. But I just, instead of thinking, oh, are they gonna like it? This and that, I just stayed true to myself and stayed with the wondrous feeling of just looking and just being overcome with the beauty of this.
Since you were
I
there.
called it a shimmering moment in time.
Love it.
And
That's what
but
art's all about, Esther, is
yes,
it's one thing. You have to be very, very, very professional to have someone say, can you do this? And they have full expectation of what they're going to get,
right,
because you have a body of work that proves it.
right.
You can paint that like as a request. I mean, I personally think the best way to work is to create work that's meaningful to you, and then it's sold to the person that it connects with, instead
I
of
believe
someone looking
yeah,
at a photo saying, can you paint that? They don't really know what they're going to get. And
no,
someone who's not an artist, their mind can't visualize and at all. They think they
no,
can, but if they can't, and not even many artists can,
right.
so it's almost like setting yourself up,
Yeah.
um like
Yeah, generally, like I'm saying, this one worked out. They loved it.
to
And it's a centerpiece in their living room, but you're right, like and I think it's only because I ended up not getting all caught up in, oh my gosh, is this gonna be right? Are they gonna I just stayed with what I felt about it, and I didn't take any money until they were very happy.
Mm,
No, meaning I would have kept the
yeah,
painting for
yeah, yeah.
myself if
Oh,
but
sorry,
yeah.
my iPad is running out of juice. um
Anyway,
I'm going to send you the recording, but I'm also going to send you the recording of another private class
okay.
that I had done, because it's the same technique. And I think it's, why not see it done in a different,
Yes,
but
I'd
it's a
love that,
little
Charlie.
girl and it's a really challenging one. I don't know if did I keep me talking in it. I might not be talking. I can't remember how I edited that one, but because I don't
But I
usually
can
record
see it.
private classes like it,
Yeah,
and I don't edit them because I'm not sharing them usually.
right.
But I'll send those to you. Um, I will do it by tonight, because tomorrow I'm off to the McMichael Gallery, and
Hmm.
then I'm teaching in Belleville. So and then I think next week for at least a couple of days, I'm going to visit Nana. So it might be a bit tricky to do another class within a week,
No, that's fine.
but you need
That's
to take your
fine.
time to do